for joining us here in the cut. You got myself here, DJ Walt Wiz, and my man Jim Search.
Yo, what's the deal? Happy, glad we finally got this put together, man. We were.
It's a journey.
It's a journey,
not a destination.
No,
it's a journey.
Absolutely not. This is a long road, especially getting the first. I called this episode 0, right? Because it's like we haven't. This is like it's the first one, but like this is like how like on TV it's like episode 0, then they go 1, 2, 3, 4. But whatever, that's more me.
Mm-hmm. It sounds good to me. You know, 0 is well, when you're born, right? You're technically at 0.
You are at 0. You are at 0.
Yeah, at 0.
You don't start at 1.
Don't start at 1. You don't come out the womb 1 year old.
Mm-mm.
So you know you still got to get some time in the game.
Right.
To reach that birthday. Even though it is your birthday, you still can't get no numbers on there until you
right.
Out here.
You need one lap around the sun before
one lap around the sun before you can say that you're solidly here.
Right. Well, we're in the cut, man. I like it. So what are we going to get into today? What's on the docket?
Well, you know, it's a Sunday. We're here on a Sunday in the afternoon here in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, man, you know, of course, I know you know, you're Dabble Entertainment, both of us. Some, you know, big things have been going on. Of course, we had the Super Bowl last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got to speak on it. I mean, it's something that was a big event that happened a week ago. And I guess we could share our thoughts on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
How did you feel? How did you feel about the whole performance?
Man, to tell you the truth, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, it was actually. The funny thing is that I just saw it today.
Oh, you just watched it today? That's hilarious.
Yeah, like I was kind of busy last weekend for reasons that Jim knows about. But yeah, I was tied up last weekend, so unfortunately, this time I was unable to watch the Super Bowl halftime. I had a chance during this weekend to check it out,
right?
And I wanted to kind of watch it first before we even got to the podcast because I wanted to give a real, you know, observation of what went on, and it was. I thought it was. You know, it's funny because I heard everyone's opinion about it.
Right.
How they both, you know, people both went left and right on it. And it's funny to me because when I saw it, you know, when I heard people speaking on it, it was real left and right. People kind of like was with it all the way in, and some people was like, you know, it was too deep or too political, and didn't really feel like I was being entertained.
Right.
And when I watched it, I was like, man, I was fully entertained.
Well, and I will say, right, because like I feel like, you know, there are those who didn't like it, right, and were like, I wasn't feeling it, I wasn't fucking with it, and I think, yeah, it didn't necessarily fit like the traditional mold of what like a halftime performance is, like.
Right.
You know, this was, and if you know Kendrick, he's a very avant-garde, very artsy sort of dude, right? He brings like a lot of high art to his music as well as his performances, right? So there's going to be a lot of like, you know, subliminal messaging. There's going to be some subversive takes of what he's doing. So like,
definitely.
If that's not for you, then this is not going to be your performance.
Right.
And like, also, you know, you have like all the like, well, this is, you know, just a bunch of black folks on the TV and like, that's really what they're trying to get at. Right. Like there's a pocket of people who are clearly like, there's a bunch of black people on TV. I don't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Which we already know where that's going to go, right? And we already know what that sentiment is. But like, if you're looking at it from like a sheer performance perspective, yeah, it's not going to fit the same mold. Like there are going to be like I was saying before, of just like, you know, the PlayStation, the shape of the PlayStation controller in the stands, right, or on the
yeah,
field,
that's right. Yeah,
you know,
it had a bunch of underlying themes that went on in there. I thought it was interesting. Of course, you know, they had Sam Jackson there, you know, and
Uncle Sam.
I thought
Right.
that was real cool. And it still was, you know, to me it was entertaining, and also it had underlying vibes of like, you know, this could be, you know, a cool thing on an entertainment level, and it could be some underlying things that you could watch over. It's almost like when you listen to, and it goes to the artist too. Because
Sure.
It's like when you listen to his music, you don't get everything on the first listen.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, you come back a month later, 2 months later, and then you check it out the next time. You're like, oh, I didn't even catch that part from the first time initially that I heard it.
Right, exactly. And that's, again, yeah, that goes back to what type of artist he is and what you're going to get. And, like, you know, of course, like, you have Serena Williams come out, Crip Walk, and, you know, that, of course, has its own dig, a subversive dig at Drake.
Yeah.
Because they were together, and SZA comes out, another one of Drake's exes. So it's like, and of course, I mean, we've not even gotten to the fact that, like, this also is a very different performance, halftime performance, in that it was a diss of Drake, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
it's crazy. It's crazy. I never, you know, I mean, it's I mean, I'm glad he kept it limited with it. You know, I thought from what I was seeing online, I thought he was just going to do like all the cuts that was diss to Drake on that Super Bowl.
I feel like I don't know it off the top of my head. I feel like there was like 4 songs, like 4 specific songs,
4 specific
like
home runs. You
yeah,
know?
just like you know. And again, it's like when it comes to like, and again, we'd have to talk about this if we're going to talk about the performance, but it's just like, yeah, if it comes to like songwriting or like lyricism and just like in a battle, yeah, Kendrick's a better writer, right? Like he's more
I mean, I enjoy his artistry. Yeah, I enjoy both of them. It's just 2 different kind of vibes.
Well, right,
know?
and that's what I'm getting towards is like, if you look at like someone who they both make great songs, like
both of them.
Say what you will about Drake, but the dude clearly makes good music. He wouldn't be where he didn't. He ran the 2010s and had it in a stranglehold as far as music goes. So it's like,
you talking about Drake or
yeah,
Kendrick?
Drake.
Oh yeah, oh man, he had a run.
He had a mean run, and to that point of like, yeah, dude can make songs, but when it comes to the world that they got into, right, when it came to a back and forth battle, right, that's where Kendrick outperformed Drake.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he got real, like he dug into his soul.
Yeah.
And the
I mean, anytime you gotta resort to going to the courts and
right, man.
You know, going to that to get it stopped, that means you must feel some kind of way.
Sure,
you know,
like
you know.
I mean, you know, when you're in like a battle, this might be the first time I've ever heard of anyone suing someone. Like
First time.
Nas didn't sue Jay didn't sue Nas.
Not at all.
You know, Jimmy isn't suing Cam's not suing Jimmy. Like
MC Shan,
right.
KRS-One.
Nope. So this is
Ja Rule, 50 Cent.
Ja Rule, which like I feel like Ja could have.
He could have.
If there was anyone who had a case to sue, if you told me about all the cases that all the examples that we just gave, if someone was like, yeah, Ja has filed legal action against 50, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, this is harassment, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta let that rock.
You know what I mean? Like, he really went up against a high-level emotional terrorist. Right. And like the Hall of Fame of just like trolling and
oh man, he probably even started it, the whole thing trolling. If you look up trolling in the dictionary, you're probably gonna see 50's face right there.
He's an innovator. He's a real innovator.
You know, as one of the first, the pioneers of trolling and making sure your life is very uncomfortable.
He in every sense of the word, he really made that.
He definitely did.
He made that, man. You know what? And it's funny. I mean, we're kind of all over the shop here, but you know, I was, recently Irv Gotti passed away. Rest in peace.
Right, rest in peace.
And you know, I kind of like after he died, and this is how it always happens, right? Is like, and sadly, somebody passes away, then you go back into their catalog, and you're like, oh, let me go listen to it, and it's like. Yeah, I went back into like the production of Irv Gotti, and it's like, wow, I totally forgot how many hits that he really has under his belt. You know what I mean? Like, he was on Reasonable Doubt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He made Can I Live?
The first initial album from Jay-Z, he was on there, and the tracks that you loved, and before he ventured into like more pop stuff, but
sure,
he knew and had a pulse on the underground
without
stuff,
a doubt.
Which was Jay-Z in the beginning. He was that first album is still it's an underground classic.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't one of his biggest albums, and like you said, you forget Irv was on there, and he had a couple of other ones. Even the first one with Ja Rule and Jay. Can I get a
yeah, and that was one of Jay's first like pop,
right.
One of his first pop songs, right?
Right.
Was Can I Get a off of the Rush Hour soundtrack.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then you hear the story of how Jay wasn't even supposed to be on that one. It was supposed to be just Ja Rule.
Right.
And then it was coming through the label at the time, and I think Jay was one of the I think he was the president there at the time,
right?
And really wanted to be a part of the record, so he was sweating Irv to get on it, and and then it turned out to be another classic that they had, and I mean, not only the hip hop stuff, but I mean, like the R&B stuff. He, a lot of the R&B, Lloyd.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff he did too. And that shows a lot of diversity. And you could do underground hip hop, you could do street rap, you could do pop hip hop, and you could do R&B, and I mean. And he's pretty solid in all of those things. I think once I think things shifted for him when I guess it's I think it's something that everyone sometimes become a victim of is forgetting like what was your strong points.
Sure.
And then going out there and like just trying to be the face of whatever is going on. Because, like you said, based off of what you saw from him, I guess within the past 5 to 6 years, it just looks like, mogul mode, and trying to be,
Murder Inc.
Right.
CEO.
Right. CEO instead of like, creating a lot of the music that we loved, and I mean, when a lot of those came out, I think I was in my early 20s, late 20s. So yeah, those are moments. So
And
sometimes, he just I felt like he got away from that and wanted to be the face.
Right. And, also speaking of Murder, Inc., like, again, with the passing, I totally forgot about, like, DMX, Ja Rule, and Jay-Z were supposed to come out with Murder Incorporated, right, as like a super group of the three of them, which that is an album that would have been that'd have been dope.
Forget about it.
That'd have been a dope body of work. But we do have It's Murder, and there's another Murdergram. Those are the two songs I can think of off the top of my head that Jay, DMX, and Ja Rule are on. So
and they're all classics. Yeah, they're all classics. I mean, man, X was still around, and I mean that still would have been an interesting thing to see all of them on board with an album. I mean, there was it's so much stuff with hip hop that it's like, man, what ifs? Because the what ifs would have been amazing. Because like Biggie with the commission,
right? What would have been?
What would have been?
And also, there is obviously those discussions, right? Of just like, if Big would have lived, where would Jay have been, and how would that have shaken out? If Pac was still alive, how would
I still think Jay would have been Jay.
You think Jay would have done it?
Yeah, I still think Jay would have been Jay, because he still was, doing okay during the time that Biggie was still alive.
I agree with you. I think like Jay was on a trajectory where he was going to go, but what difference would it have? Like, I'm not saying that Jay wouldn't have been successful. I think he would have, but what other dynamic would Big have offered to Jay and vice versa? Like, if they both were still around, how would that have impacted his career, and where would that have gone? Would they, would Big also have been a mogul? Like, would he have gone in that direction? We don't know. Obviously.
We don't know. Yeah, it's a what if.
It's a total what if.
Because I mean, I think with Big, I think he would have probably, just like Jay, he would have made strives to, because I mean, the good example to me is that song with Bone Thugs and
oh yeah, Notorious Thugs,
right, and that was a popular flow at that moment, right?
The double time spit, right?
And Big wanted to show that, like, oh, okay, that's what we doing,
right? I can do that.
I can do that too,
right?
And so he had the ability to be able to switch and be flexible with like whatever was going on at the time.
Right.
So all the reason for me to think that if he would have lived, it would have continued, and he would have been able to move within whatever's going on.
I will say this. I do think had he lived, he would have definitely left Bad Boy. I think he would have.
Oh yeah. No, without a question.
I think his, much like, I think he would have followed in the suit of Jay in making his own Rockefeller. I think Big, and he was in the process of it, right? Like Junior Mafia.
With the commission.
In the commission. But I was also thinking of just like even Junior Mafia. Like, he had a plan of like, oh, I'm going to have these artists underneath me. I have this other group that I'm working with.
Right.
Da 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 da. I think he would have gone in that. I think he would have gone in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think he would have. He would, like I said, whether it was his rap flow or the way he moved, he would have found a way to be relevant with whatever is going on. Because, like I said, he was moving. I mean, brother only had 2 albums that he really did. Fully. Even the second one is a little bit more like a Puffy thing to me, in my opinion. You know, because he wasn't alive to pick the songs that he wanted to be on the project.
Right.
He was gone before that even transpired. So it was pretty much Puffy's thing. So I mean, it still was a dope album. I mean, Life After Death is still. I mean, one of the top 10 to 15 albums from hip hop that ever was made. But I think if he had really had his input in there, he was alive, then it would have been probably more of his input. And you know,
what are your top 5 albums of all time? No particular order.
Of hip hop?
Yeah, hip hop.
My top 5 albums. Wow. Okay. Well. I mean, the first one for me is the first album I ever bought, which was Boogie Down Productions.
Okay.
Because I'm from the Bronx originally, so I grew up South Bronx, South Bronx, get it, South Bronx. You know, like that's number one.
Okay.
To me, you know, so I have to do that just because they won't let me back in if I don't. They'll be like, all right,
you won't be able
you know,
to get
you
over
think
it.
you're Brooklyn, huh? You know what I mean? So I mean,
That's funny.
I have to put that up there, but I truly do, because that's the first time that kind of style of music caught my ear. So Boogie Down Productions, both Criminal Minded and Enemies Necessary, 2 of my favorite albums. I still play it to this day. So they tied for one.
Okay.
Okay.
It's your list. You can have a split for number 1.
Right.
And again, this is no particular order, so.
Right. No, yeah, it's not in particular order, but it's still, for me, that's number 1.
That's your number 1.
The rest of them is not going to be
They're
in no
going to fight
particular
for 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right. So the second one for me is Slick Rick, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick.
Okay.
Yeah, The Adventures of Slick Rick. That was another one that was my, you know, bought that in the record store when I was a kid. These are just my personal favorites. You know what I mean? Like, I know they're not the greatest of the greatest of whatever. You know what I mean? I know people usually just pick. But all right, so that's number 2. Number 3, of course, is Nas, the first one. You know, his first album. That was another one that, you know, I mean, that was later on, but still,
right.
You know, that was one of my favorites to listen to back and forth all the time. We had 3. So number 4, the Tribe Called Quest. The first one, the one with I Left My Wallet in El Segundo.
Yeah.
You know, because it was you know, that album. You know, again, when you're in junior high school and high school, and you know you're listening to those records. Those records was like a movie to how you were.
Sure.
You know, walking around in class, you know, from class to class in school. And then 5 is Life After Death for me. And that's, you know, like I said, that album, I love that album. I mean, Ready to Die was dope. I mean, I love Ready to Die, but I felt like that second one was just more polished than the first one.
Sure.
The first one was just mad raw. You know what I mean? Like, it was mad raw. Like, the second one was raw too, but you know,
he dies at the end of the first one,
right?
And well, not only does he die, he kills himself at the end of the first album,
right?
So you know, and I can say I've listened to a lot of. There hasn't really been a day that's gone by since I was 12 that I haven't listened to some sort of hip hop song, right? Like every single day. I'm 43 years old, so that is 30-ish years of just everyday listening to music. I can tell you right now that I have listened to Suicidal Thoughts maybe twice.
Yeah.
in my life. Like, too hard,
Yeah.
too deep.
Yeah.
It's too intense.
It's real.
I get it. Like, I understand the pain,
Right.
and I'm not there for it.
Right.
So,
Especially in this
twice.
day and age, you know, with the mental health thing and everything like that. I mean, how crazy, you know, like that song was done in 97, 98.
What, Suicidal Thoughts?
Yeah.
When did that come out? When did Biggie's album Ready to Die come out?
No, Suicidal Thoughts is on, if I'm, you know, I think it's on Life After Death.
It's on Ready to Die.
Oh,
It's
okay,
the
okay.
last
Wow.
song of
All
Ready
right.
to Die,
Right.
because the first song on Ready to Die, he's born,
Right.
right? It's him in the hospital, right? And then it's him dying at the end, and
Right.
the song is Ready to Die.
Got you.
Or
got
the
you.
album is Ready to Die, and Suicidal Thoughts is the final song on that album.
Yeah, I mean that song was real. I
It's-
mean, like, you know, it's. I mean, if you ever have a close friend, and you get that call, and it might be around 3:00 or 4:00 in the morning,
You better pick up, man.
that's usually that kind of conversation that happens at that point. So I mean, that was something that artist is able to dig in and be honest. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
most artists would just, you know, especially with the vibe that Biggie had was, you know, like player and pimp, but to be vulnerable enough to share the fact that I also had thoughts about killing myself. It's a pretty deep subject, you know, and the way the song was put together, I think was I thought it was spot on. And even, you know, like the back and forth he has, you know, talking. I mean, it's amazing, man. I mean, you know, it definitely, like I said, in my time, it helped me. You know, it gave me therapy listening to that, because there's some deep down thoughts that you didn't even, you know, thought that somebody of that stature would even be thinking, right?
You're a braver man than me. I've only listened to that song twice.
I mean, I haven't listened to it recently, but you know,
Don't put it on, folks. Don't. If you haven't,
I was just about to, you know,
you're just about to pull it up right now and play us out on Suicidal Thoughts from Notorious B.I.G. off Ready to Die. Rest in peace to the Notorious B.I.G.
right.
So, well, I'll tell you my top five.
Yeah,
In
I was just about to ask,
you're just
man,
about-
what's your top five?
You about to get there?
Yeah.
All right. No particular order, and I should tell you that this changes every day. My top 5 albums, just like my top 5 rappers of all time, changes almost every day. No particular order. Enter the 36 Chambers. Wu-Tang
No doubt.
is going to be in there. I think as far as it being groundbreaking and being ahead of its time, I think that is a conversation you can have about Enter the 36 Chambers. From there, Exhibit at the Speed of Life. I think Exhibit is one of the most underrated lyricists, not even coastal-wise, I think in general. I don't think he gets enough credit. And that album, similar to Ready to Die, really does show a range of who he is as a person. You really get to know who Exhibit is, and also it's just the production's incredible. Paparazzi is one of the classic songs off that album, so I'm gonna put that in there. Put that in there as my second. Third, Redman's Muddy Waters.
Oh yeah.
It's I mean,
That was another one. Yeah, that was
I wasn't. I was in my head as to whether I wanted to put in Dare is a Dark Side, but like I think today Muddy Waters is going to be represented on behalf of Redman. Great album. I mean, so many dope joints on it. And, you know, he is a real product of the 90s as far as the skits go. You know what I mean? I think that does give another layer and texture to who you are as an artist when you have those. Let's see. Number 4. Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music.
Oh, yeah.
From Outkast.
Oh, man.
19 years old when they made that album. And, you know, I think that's really a testament to what, like, all of that kind of, like, obviously everyone's first album is kind of like, here is everything that I've thought about for X number of years as long as I've been making music. Boom, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, that was such a just sonically different album, right?
No doubt.
No
doubt. They in a different perspective too. Like they, you know, the brothers in the South, they go about their approach different than people in New York. And I mean, I definitely, man, I'm a huge fan of Outkast. I bought Aquemini. I bought like
AT-Aliens.
What?
Yeah,
AT-Aliens. You know, and they, you know, I think I still think they're underrated. You know, I mean, I know they.
You think Outkast is underrated?
I think they forget. You know, because, I mean, I actually lived in Atlanta. You know, shouts to Atlanta. You know, I lived in Georgia. And, like, in my opinion, they should be celebrated a little bit more, man.
Interesting.
They should be celebrated a little bit more. The way they you know, they were one of the first from Georgia to like get it, you know, to take it to a different, you know, to take it to a different height, in my opinion. I just think that they just get a bad, you know, rep for being, you know, like they had massive hits.
They
you
did.
know, they had massive hits. And I think that they took they took the brunt of that because people just thought they were like pop or something. I'm like, how, you know, like I think that was such a like you know, it was not intentional for them to do that. Like I don't think that they walked in there. I don't think Outkast walks into the studio.
It makes pop records.
Right. And their first thing, their initial thought is like, you know what? Let's get something for let's make it for the radio.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think I you know, there's really, from where I sit, it's like, yes, there are certainly those who make popular music and they specifically go out to do it.
Right.
And then there's those who stumble into it. And I think, you know, good problem to have if you're stumbling into it. But yeah, Outkast, I think even I'd make a case and say that there were some Jay pop songs that I don't know if he set out to. There certainly were ones that he did, and they did become pop records because I think he was like, I'm making songs for the radio or making songs for the club. Right. But I think there are some that like you just kind of that fell into his pocket.
Right. Yeah, he found the pocket of the sound that he does, and you know, he rolled with it. Where's Outkast? I think that like it was more like they was just like cool, eclectic, you know, representing from their city, and then it just like they took off in a different kind of way, where it was like mainstream, and then you know when something's it's like you go into a store, right, and the store is like the store that nobody knows about,
right,
and they make the best food, right, and then it's like the sandwiches or what have you is just like, oh man, I can't wait to get that sandwich again the next time. And then you start telling people about it, right? And then next time you go, there's a line around the corner. And then now they have to do a speed sandwich. They have to make the sandwich a little bit quicker now. So they cut down on the quality of the ingredients, or they have to like be more they gotta be more like customer service and be nice and do all of these things.
So they were assholes before?
No. But they were more
but
like,
nobody knew about them. They were just assholes?
Like, yo, take it what it is. This is what it is.
Okay.
Now, when it's like everyone's on board, then that's when things start getting like.
They have orientation about how to be, how to say, look customer in the eye, count change. Okay. All right. I see. I think I see where we're going with this. Is this an Outcast analogy where Andre and Big Boy assholes when Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music came out?
No, but they were like genuine. They were a little bit more. I don't want to say genuine. They were just more like, we just wanted to make good music, and then later on down the line, once everybody, because it was like the city's own group,
right?
And then once they got to, once it reached a height, in my opinion, that's when things started to become like, all right, we gotta, you sold 10 million last time, you got to sell 20 million the next time, or you got to sell 25 million the next time, and things of that sort. And I thought, in my opinion, that's why they, was like, all right, that's enough of that. Like we can't. That you get pulled too far from the original intent.
Sure.
And which was to make the best music representing Atlanta. And that's how I feel about them. But I think, like I said, Aliens, Aquemini, I even I like the Love Below. Like Love Below was still dope. And the one after that with Miss Jackson.
Oh yeah, I can see the cover. I can't think of it right now.
It was all dope. Even Idlewild was dope, man. I mean, people slept on that. I was like, yo, Idlewild was dope, man. I mean, but it didn't do numbers like the Love Below.
Right.
So it wasn't really revered as the same. But I thought it was mad creative. If you ever listen to that album, I'm telling you, it's still an enjoyable listen. But yeah, I mean, Outkast is in my top 10. But
okay.
I couldn't put it in my top 5. But top 10 is definitely there.
I'll give you my final album, my top 5 album.
Right.
Smith & Wesson's The Shining.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I just went to the earlier this year. I went to the 30th anniversary show of that, and I think
that was earlier this year. I mean, in 2024.
No. Earlier this year, 2025.
Oh yeah.
I was there last. Okay. Oh, it was last month, January. I went to the show, and they did the whole album, start to finish, backed by a live band, and yeah, it still holds up. And I think, to me, and again, that is in my top 5 favorite albums of all time. It really, like, I feel like if Aliens were to come down and be like, what is like East Coast 90s hip hop, like what is that sound?
Yeah,
I would present Smith & Wesson's The Shining and be like, here's my
it's
example.
A good pick.
Here's my example to you, Alien, as to what that sound is. And tomorrow, that'll be completely different, Walt. If you ask me tomorrow my top 5 albums.
It would change?
It would change. Oh, yeah. It changes every day.
Wow.
Because it's what I'm listening to.
So
right?
you don't stick to
all right, I'll say this. There are a couple like mainstays that will be on the list in minor or no particular order. Like Exhibit will always be on that list.
Right. There's some that's not budgeted.
There's a 6-man like Razkaz's Soul on Ice is in the orbit of my like favorite albums of all time.
Right.
But yeah, like shit, tomorrow, you know, you might find Only Built for Cuban Links on there. You might find Dr. Dre's The Chronic.
Right.
You know, so again,
it's ever evolving.
It's an evolving. It's a work. It's a living document.
Right.
It's a living document of what albums I fuck with.
I hear you. Man.
Just how I live, man.
And I see they have the April Fool's Day coming up soon in here in Brooklyn and the Barclays.
Oh, the comedy show.
Yeah, Mike Epps.
Yeah, it's like
and 95 South. Or there's a 95 South.
The restaurant?
No, the podcasters. I forget the brother's name. The dudes from I think they're from Atlanta.
They very well could be, but I am not familiar with that.
Got you. Well, they're doing
a show. They're doing
a show. Yeah. But you know, I appreciate Mike Epps though. I mean, I like the rest of the situation too. I mean, all of them sound, you know, they're good. How do you know Mike Epps? Like, do you like Mike Epps stuff?
I hate him. No, I'm just kidding. Mike Epps. I'm joking. I've never met the man. I could not say that with.
I know you're a comedian. You know, like you're a comedian, so.
And that got a laugh when I said that I hate Mike Epps. So I'm doing my job, is what I'm trying to tell you, folks. Even when I'm not on stage, I'm still able to get a laugh here. Yeah, I fuck with Mike Epps. I think he's funny. I mean, he's a fucking funny dude. Loved him. I've loved his work for a very long time. So.
That's what's up, man. It like, who's your favorite comic? Like, what comics did you enjoy growing up?
I like me. I'm a big fan of me. Go buy my album.
As you should.
Go buy my album, Upstate Understandings. It's available everywhere where you digitally stream anything, and it's available at jimsearch.bandcamp.com. That's a shameless plug.
Go.
That's a shameless plug from
very shameless.
Yeah, I don't care. Well, you have to be, man. You have to promote your own shit. Like,
without question.
You have to be your own biggest cheerleader. I'm going to tell you at any opportunity I can to go buy my album. So go do it. Go listen to it. It's on Sirius XM. It's on the Pure Comedy station. So listen to it.
And I've listened to you, you know, throughout the years, man. Do your thing. I mean,
I appreciate that.
You're a great comic, bro. Like yo, and,
it means a lot.
And you get every time I see you, you're better than the last time I saw you. So yeah, definitely mess with it. You know, I'm telling you, Jim Church, he's gonna be at Bear Wax on Tuesday, right here on Vanderbilt in 556 Vanderbilt. So definitely go check that out, because I mean the guy, he knows his job.
I do. I've done all right. I've done all right as far as comedy goes, and hip hop trivia. So go do that.
And it's hip hop trivia. So do your research before you walk in there, just so you don't embarrass yourself. Because they're gonna make sure that you have the solid information on the legacy of hip hop, and they're gonna quiz you. So they're gonna score you too. So I mean, no one wants to get that low score at the end. Still,
except my man Ellis. My man Ellis shows up all the time, and he says, "I'm gonna get 6 points. I'm only shooting for 6. I don't want to get higher than 6." I'm like, all right, well, if that's how you want to play, that's cool. Who am I to tell you to shoot higher, man? You set your own goal.
Without a question.
But to answer your question, as far as who my favorite comedian, of all time, or like who do I like right now? Because I feel like those are 2 different categories.
Top 5.
My top 5 comedians of all time: Dylon. I'm gonna have to timestamp some of where these comedians fall as far as how I fuck with them, but again, no particular order. Patrice O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
I think he was a comedic genius. Certainly, he had his own shit he was dealing with, but once he got on a microphone, I think he was truly one of the greats. So I'm going to put him in there. Who else? Who else do I like? And again, these are no particular order. I'm going to say early Dave Chappelle. I don't know if I fuck with the later stuff, but early stuff I like. So I'm going to say circa 94, 95 Dave Chappelle.
That's fair.
Who else do I like? Patton Oswalt, very funny guy. I'm a big storytelling comedian, and I feel like he was one of the big inspirations for me as far as how to tell a story on stage. So I'm going to put him in number 3. Number 4, who's my 4th comedian that I fuck with? Richard Pryor.
Wow, that's what's up, man. I don't mean to interrupt you. I know this is gonna be a hot take right now.
All right, let's find out.
Right, it's a hot take. Me and my wife, I told my wife this. I admitted this to my wife.
Okay. You're getting a confessional here on In the Cut, guys.
Right.
You're going to get some real hot take here.
Yeah, it's a hot take.
Let's go.
But as far as Richard Pryor stand-up, right? Like, Pryor, I mean, movies, always love him.
Sure.
Right? Always love him. His stand-up.
Didn't do it for you. That's
never it doesn't do
really?
It for me, man.
Wow.
I must be the only black man in the world that does not enjoy a Richard Pryor stand-up. I tried. I tried, man.
What about him? What is it about his performance that you don't fuck with?
Well, the thing when I watch Richard Pryor on, do the stand-up, right, and I know the history, first of all, is crazy.
Sure.
In terms of, like, I remember he had that one on Sunset Boulevard.
On Sunset.
Right. That went wrong. And then I saw the documentary. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then he came back and got busy the next time.
Yeah.
So I commend him on that. And I'm, like I said, I like JoJo Dancer, which was almost like the autobiography of him. I know it switched, they changed it up here and there, but for the most part, it was the autobiography. But when I sit and watch the stand-up, right, solely on just the basis of the stand-up, it does not. Like, I watch it, I'm sitting there, and then
you're checking your phone.
I'm checking my phone, or I'm just fall flat asleep.
Wow.
And it's fall flat asleep. And, I make it for the first half an hour, 45 minutes. And then I'm just done, and the reason why is that it's like I could enjoy a good drug story, right?
Sure.
I could enjoy a good drug story. People that, unfortunately, had to dabble and, that dabble, but you know what it is? When he does a story, it's just so, like, all over the place, right?
It's too frenetic for you.
It's too frenetic. Like, we started from here. We was hanging out with my man James at 207th Street, and then, it was kind of snowing, but then the snow turned to rain, and I was about to go to the thing to get a bacon, egg, and cheese, right? And then these people pulled up, right? And then, I need a consistent, precise story. I can't stand we walked into the place, and the ladies were fine. The ladies were fine, right? That's my Richard Pryor. It's terrible. It's terrible.
This is your Richard Pryor impression. This subpar comedian Richard Pryor.
Right, subpar.
That you don't fuck with.
So then they bring out, and then they brought out the plates with the cocaine, and then we started to slice the cocaine up, and then I was like, "Ooh, damn it!" Well,
See, that's what happens.
Right, the spirits, right?
The spirit of Richard Pryor just went after the bottom of this table.
Hold on, let me finish. Damn, there's some good stuff, Jack. Right? And then, then everybody started to, there was, and then I was like, "Ooh, you know what? This is too much, Jack." I just didn't. It was too much for me. Like I was just like, "Yo, listen, man, get like the time."
You want him to get to the point.
Right?
That's what you want. Get to the fucking point, Rich.
And then the ceiling fans were spinning. Mm-hmm. Then the ceiling fans, and then I started to feel cool for a minute, but then that second hit started to come in, and it was a rush. And then I'm just like, all right, second one. So you did a second one after the you barely made it through the first one, and then he keeps going, and then I don't know. It was like it was more like a ramble to me,
sure,
than like a set. But that's just my opinion.
Okay.
But like I said, Harlem Nights, the movies. For me,
movies do it for you. Stand up.
It's forever. He's forever classic in the sense of movies. Anyone, even the bad ones. Yeah, the ones where he's a doctor or something like. Oh, the one with Gene.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah, the one where they went to prison. Yeah.
Well, no, that was what is it? It's not Stir Crazy.
Stir Crazy.
Is it Stir Crazy?
Yeah, when he went to prison, they went to jail for a hot second because they got they picked them out of the lineup instead of the people that really. Those are classics, man. I could watch that any time of the day, 2 a.m, 3 a.m.
But he needs to get better at stand up.
Well, he can't get better now, but
he can't. That's true.
He
should have gotten better.
His stand up just didn't hit me like that, man.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I tried, man. When I tell you I tried.
No, I believe it.
I rent a black. Back when they had Blockbuster, I used to rent the Sunset Boulevard thing.
Live at Sunset.
Right, Live at Sunset, and I tried, man. It just
wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me, man. And I know people used to buy the albums and play the albums in their house and things like that. That from people from that time, from the 70s. But it just didn't hit for me, man. It just didn't hit. I don't know what kind of the vibe.
The vibe was off. The vibe's off for you.
And of course, Eddie Murphy came around, and I think Eddie Murphy kind of in my opinion, took whatever Richard Pryor was doing to another level. So if and we're gonna put in a basketball term, Richard Pryor was like Dr. J,
right?
And Eddie Murphy came in like Mike.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it was watching Dr. J is great. He's still he's still great.
Sure.
But when you watch the Mike, it's like, oh, he took a little bit from probably took a big percentage of that,
right,
and took it to another level that was more, I guess, more my cup of tea because Eddie Murphy was. PRYOR was out there when we was growing up when I was a kid, so he kind of set the bar for me in terms of comedians.
Sure.
That was funny, and he was saying things that we would say on a playground, but on stage. You know what I mean? He took it to on stage and made I think some of the best stand-up shows ever. But yeah,
next episode we'll find another legend you don't like.
Right.
I'm fucking with you.
That's the first one, though, right? No, I got one, right?
Right. There's some others.
But you all right? So your top 5 again, comedians. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's all right. Patrice O'Neal, early Dave Chappelle, Patton Oswalt, Richard Pryor, George Carlin.
Right. We didn't get to the George Carlin part.
Right.
George Carlin's a monster, man. He's a monster.
He's a legend.
Yep, he's a legend. See, I've seen him, and I never saw him live, but whenever I seen one of his specials, I could see, I'm like, oh, this guy. O'Neal as well, all the other ones. I could see why they were so great. Like they just, like I said, they had a connective, consistent story, in there when they do a joke, and also they're slightly political as well, and I enjoy watching all of them, especially when they have something to say, which I think makes a great artist. You can't just talk, talk about surface stuff all the time.
You got to have a point of view.
You got to have a point of view.
Which is why I never like Seinfeld.
You never liked Seinfeld?
Nope.
Okay, that's
we're gonna have to talk about that next episode, sir, because
that's a hot take.
Gotta leave him wanting more.
Wanting more, definitely.
But
all right, so we're here with Jim Search, DJ Walt Wiz. Jim Search, if you can, catch that brother over there at Bear Wax, 556 Vanderbilt on Tuesday. And they're going to be doing hip-hop trivia. It's going to be fire. Check it out. And myself, I'll be at Miss Barb's on the 9th of March, spinning classics. Also, we'll have guest appearance from Denise Wilkinson from the Ladies of Sky. Call Me. Start a Romance. You already know. It's going to be a good time. So we leave you with this. Everyone live in peace and in light. And we'll see you guys next time on In the Cut.
Peace.